Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivjakacharya Ashtotar Sada Sri Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Samaveta Bhaktivedanta ki Janitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtikhi. Today we are continuing to read from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, entitled The Characteristics of King Puranjana, text number 18. Hima nirjara viprusmat kusuma karavayuna chalat pravala vitapa nalini tata sampati. Hima nirjara viprusmat kusuma karavayuna Hima nirjara viprusmat kusuma karavayuna chalat pravala vitapa nalini tata sampati. Anyone else? Mataji's? word-to-word meaning. Hima Nirjara, from the icy mountain waterfall. Viprutmat, carrying particles of water. Kusuma Akara, springtime. Vayuna, by the air. Chalat, moving. Pravala, branches. Vitapa, trees. Nalini Tata, on the bank of the lake with lotus flowers. Sampadi, opulent. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The branches of the trees standing on the bank of the lake received particles of water carried by the spring air from the falls coming down from the icy mountain. In this verse, the word Hima Nirjara is particularly significant. The waterfall represents a kind of liquid humor or rasa relationship. In the body, there are different types of humor, rasa or mellow. The supreme mellow relationship is called the sexual mellow, Adi Rasa. When this Adi Rasa or sex desire comes in contact with the spring air moved by Cupid, it becomes agitated. In other words, all these are representations of Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, Shabda and Sparsha. The wind is Sparsha or touch. The waterfall is Rasa or taste. The spring air Kusumakara is smell. All these varieties of enjoyment make life very pleasing, and thus we become captivated by material existence. Om Ajnanat Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In the Krishna book, chapter 48, Lord Krishna is speaking to Akrura. Anyone who desires good fortune must offer his respectful obeisances unto personalities like you, who are greater than the demigods. People worship the demigods when in need of some sense gratification, and the demigods offer benedictions to their devotees after being worshipped. But a devotee like you, Akrura, is always ready to offer people the greatest benediction. A saintly person or devotee is free to offer benedictions to everyone, whereas the demigods can offer benedictions only after being worshipped. One can take advantage of a place of pilgrimage only after going there and worshipping a particular demigod, which involves waiting a long time for fulfillment of one's desire. But saintly persons like you, my dear Akrura, can immediately fulfill all the desires of a devotee. My dear Akrura, you're always our friend and well-wisher. So here the qualities of a saintly person are brought out. how he is more magnanimous than a demigod who offers benediction only after being worshipped. Just as Krishna is praising Akrura for his saintly qualities, we have another saint who, without being worshipped, is giving his darshan, he is giving his instructions and mercy to a king. So, who are we talking about? Who is the saintly person? Narada Muni, very good. And who's the devotee who's getting the blessings without even praying for it? King Prachina Parishad. Now, when I was reading this section, I had questions about why such graphic descriptions are given in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is like the purest or the Amala Purana. So in the knowledge economy, there are three kind of roles. One is like the subject matter expert, the other is like a reporter who collects information, and the third is knowledge broker. So I would like to ask some of the experts here, why do we have such descriptions about sex desire, attraction between man and women, and all that in a purest form of Purana like Bhagavad Purana? So, Prana Prabhu, would you like to say some words?
At the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada explained that Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Hare Krishna. In the beginning of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Prabhupada explains that this, in the first shloka, the first purport, that this Bhagavatam represents the complete knowledge of the Absolute Truth, Param Satyam Dhimahi. It's a meditation that we meditate on this this form of the Lord who is the Abhigya Swadat. He's the Supreme Emperor, he's independent, he knows everything, Abhigya. And part of the knowledge of the Supreme Absolute Truth is understanding the Rasa Tattva. And he explains that the Rasa Tattva, the knowledge of the experience of enjoyment, is a perverted, in the material world, is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. And so the highest, sort of the summit of material enjoyment is, in the material world, is considered to be sexual enjoyment. And that is a perverted reflection of what Krishna enjoys with the gopis, with his intimate paramours. And that Prabhupada calls it the Adi Rasa psychology, the psychology of that ultimate form of enjoyment, the spiritual enjoyment. And therefore, if we understand where it comes from, we can put everything in perspective, because the material enjoyment, everything in the material world that we try to enjoy through the senses, is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So everything comes from Krishna, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. And therefore, it's fitting that we understand the description and the analysis and the nuances of all forms of rasa, of all forms of taste, of all forms of enjoyment, and what the original form of that, the Adi Rasa, is, and the fountainhead of that Adi Rasa, which is Krishna, who is Krishna, and Krishna in his various manifestations. And that's why it's in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. In fact, that's why Prabhupada mentions it right at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, that this Bhagavatam is going to be an explanation of and a description of rasa. It's a rasa kata, rasa tattva. Mahatma Prabhu?
Swami, you want to speak on it? As we understand also, Vyasadeva has written, compiled this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, for he knows the audience. Audience is us, that we are all in this, the illusion of whole the sense gratification, and this subject matter is brought in there to actually just awaken our understanding. Like this is just perverted. This is just a illusion you're in. So if the knowledge is not there, then we won't know the subject matter. That's why it's all inserted within different sections to make them understand that yes, it is, but it's illusion. That's my understanding.
Our position is Anandmaya Abhyasat in the spiritual world, and we want to enjoy pleasure from sex and other things in the material world. This is like complete illusion, as people said, and just like a drop in the desert. For desert we need oceans of water. Then only we can be satisfied. However, we are looking for that and we can never get in the spiritual world. Like oil and water, they can never be mixed. Thank you.
I did ask Jagannath Ram Prabhu about this same thing yesterday, as a reporter trying to get information in the knowledge economy. His explanation is also very similar. A different perspective that if you have to cure somebody, you need to describe what the disease is, and then the root cause. That was one example. And then if you have to teach the children the benefits of healthy living, and then you need to give them the caution about what will happen if you don't live a healthy lifestyle. So, for defining the problem, going to the root cause, and then gradual process of coming out of it. So that's described. So that's why we have these descriptions in here. Also, we have subject matter experts like Srila Prabhupada, who out of his causeless mercy extends his mercy to us by giving this knowledge. Personally, I didn't plan to come to Australia to become a monk. Come for PR, good job, so on and so forth. None of you, maybe some few exceptions, but when you boarded your trip to Australia, you didn't have the ambition to become so Krishna conscious. Now, who's that saintly person who's interfering in our life, intervening and having this strategic intervention and changing the course of our action? That is Srila Prabhupada. Like, he's the crest jewel of all the subject matter experts, and he is quoting this verse from Yamunacharya, that whenever Yamunacharya engages in different devotional activities which gives him newer and newer taste, when the thought of sex desire comes, he spits at the thought. His lips curl in distaste. So you need to carefully watch. He is spitting at the thought and he's not spitting at women. He's spitting at his thought. So we have the whole line of acharyas who are the subject matter experts, and we are meant to take advantage of this kind of knowledge which is coming to us. Now I continued my reporting to find out more information, and I came across the seminar given by Her Grace Urmila Mataji, dealing with sex desire. It was conducted right here in this temple hall, 2003 or 13, I'm not sure. So while I was going through the contents of the video, I couldn't get all the references which she has put together. So I took a chance, I went to Facebook Messenger and asked Mataji if she can provide the references. And by the Lord's mercy, she was available on Facebook Messenger and she sent me a link. So I got my commission there as a knowledge broker. So what I'm trying to do is present a summary of what she has done, and also with the quotes from Srila Prabhupada. I highly recommend that you watch that video, and she has also written an article in BTG regarding this same theme. In the spiritual world, the energy is love. In the material world, the energy is lust. These are words from Srila Prabhupada. So here, the living entity is going through changes in the body. As the embodied soul moves from childhood to boyhood to youth, what changes are happening in the body? That's described in the previous verse and in the current verse. And then the same sense object which was never attractive to you suddenly becomes attractive to you, and you want to enjoy with the opposite gender. I think Keshav Prabhu was quoting once, he was quoting Srila Prabhupada, like Prabhupada is saying that if you leave me in a room full of naked women, still I won't be agitated. And yesterday's verse talked about how it is practically impossible for anybody to become, not to get agitated. The sex impulse is so strong that even by seeing, touching or talking, coming into contact with or even thinking of the opposite sex, even in so many subtle ways, one becomes sexually impelled. So as Pranam Prabhu mentioned, the source of this is also coming from the Lord. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 1.1.1 purport, Prabhupada clearly explains that this Adi Rasa is coming from Krishna. He is the originator, and this mellow or rasa comes from him. Now in this verse and purport, the favorable conditions are described, which is sense, touch, fragrance, form, and all that is described. So you have a favorable, your bodily growth has happened, and then there is a corresponding situations around you are favorable, and then you see the sense object and you want to enjoy. Because this is the topmost enjoyment, the sex impulse and the sex pleasure, it has the potency to bewilder a living being. We will look at the root cause, which we describe is as Krishna, and how there is a pure form of this enjoyment in the spiritual world, which is described in the purports as to how in the material world a person enjoys sex for a few minutes and after that it becomes distasteful. Whereas the same pleasure is experienced in the spiritual world forever and in a newer and a newer and a newer fashion. So this is the original version of the sex desire, where it's not perverted and it is not going to come to an end, but it is newer and newer. And because spiritual world is eternal and you as a living being are also eternal, you enjoy such pleasure. And Krishna is described as the spiritual Cupid, as the ever fresh, ever blissful person who gives that unlimited pleasure to the living entities around him in the spiritual world. So we have described how Krishna is a person who gives pleasure and he also relishes. And what about living entities? Living entities also have the same propensity of seeking pleasure, bliss, always looking for happiness. So this desire for pleasure is part of the soul. And the feelings, they are part of our spiritual nature. Therefore, sexual desires are not something that's unreal and something that can be killed, because desires cannot be killed. Only a dead man can be without desires, Prabhupada says. Our mind is attached to something else. Mind cannot be detached. We have got so many desires, so mind's business is to become attached. Therefore, I accept something, I reject something. This is mind's business. So you cannot become zero. You cannot become desireless. That is not possible. If I am desireless, then I am a dead man. So we have established that Krishna is full of pleasure and the living entities are also seeking pleasure, and this pleasure-seeking propensity is part of the soul, and desires cannot be killed. So if we try to repress this enjoying propensity, it will come out in the form of anger. Anger is considered as the prelude or the brother of lust. And this came as a good point for me to retrospect and check myself where I am in the how I am progressing. So one way the lust comes out is through anger, and you may even justify that it is for service or things like that, but the root cause is lust. The second way it will come out is persons trying to perform too much of extreme austerities to make the heart harder. I want to deny my emotions, so I will engage in austerities which are really severe, and thereby I'll make my heart hard. So you will be oscillating between anger and hard-heartedness, anger, hard-heartedness, like that. And because you can't be permanently situated there, you may eventually fall down. Now, how to avoid this, how to gradually come out of this, that's what we're going to see today. We touched upon the spiritual mellow or the rasa, and that, as described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Adi Rasa, the personification of that Adi Rasa is the Hiladini potency, who is none other than the all-merciful Srimati Radharani. Brahma Samhita also is explained how she is the pleasure-giving energy or the internal potency and the source of enjoyment for Krishna. So Krishna relishes pleasure with Srimati Radharani. What do we do as living beings? How do we experience that pleasure? So the hint is, most of you would have attended Guru Puja today, right? Before you would have offered the lamps. And does anyone remember what are today's scores? What is Lakshmi? How much Lakshmi got? What term we normally use in the Lakshmi? Lakshmi liberated. Why do you say that? Anyone knows why do we say that? It is offered to Krishna. So what's the connection? How do jivas enjoy the Adi Rasa? What's the connection? That's good. How do we see it in context of Lakshmi liberated? So when does the Lakshmi liberated come? Does that come in the beginning, or before that so many things are also getting read out? What is that? That's good principle. I'm talking about what is getting read out in the actual scores. Yeah, okay. And after that comes book distribution, scores. Most of you would have attended today's Guru Puja, right? You can all speak. What was read out after that? Book scores, thank you. Small book, and then we say so and so. And then what else we read? Do we have only crossways? Thank you. Now we are talking, yeah. Crossways, Gopals, Radhes, and every time we say Lakshmi liberated, so and so. Now what do we see the connection between that and the jivas enjoying the Adi Rasa? Do you see the connection? Like that's how, by bringing Krishna's energy back and giving it, employing it in Krishna's service, we jivas experience Adi Rasa, as simple as that. So you understand the significance of why that particular word is being used for the pleasure of their lordships. And sometimes we go through the motions, we may not understand the emotions behind it or the actual, the bigger meaning behind it. Lakshmi liberated means we are taking Lakshmi, which is Krishna's energy, which is not being used in his service. We are liberating and putting it back in where she is meant to be. And after that, what do? We clap hands, we say Haribol. That is the enjoyment. You all would have said Haribol, right? After so-and-so person is having some stalwarts here who distribute books and bring lot of Lakshmi. So that's how the jivas experience. So that's the process. The Bhakti Yoga process gives you various engagements by which the jiva can also experience a glimpse of the Adi Rasa, and that's how the jiva is designed to give pleasure to the Lord and thereby experience pleasure. The famous analogies are, the hand is designed to put the food in the mouth and then ultimately goes to the stomach. The stomach gets nourished, the hand gets nourishment. The other example is watering the root of the tree, the whole tree gets nourished. So that's how the jiva is designed. You give pleasure to Krishna and thereby you also experience pleasure. So the logic is, take Krishna's energy, employ it in Krishna's service, and by seeing Krishna happy, you also become happy. That's how you feel pleasure. And this principle applies to Lakshmi Narayan and Sitaram, all the expansions of the Lord. So that's how one of the stalwart devotees, Hanuman, some of you may not know him, he is a very devoted servant of Lord Ram. Lord Ram is another form of Lord Krishna. So even though the mood of Hanuman is more of a servant in the Dāsa rasa, the mellow of servitorship, he experienced the biggest pleasure by uniting Sita with Lord Ram. You would have read stories about Ramayana, so some of you might be familiar. So Hanuman, being the situated in a platform of servitorship and being a celibate single person, he is also experiencing the rasa by uniting Sita with Lord Ram. In our daily practice of sadhana, we also have the same opportunity which Hanuman has to reunite Radha and Krishna, and that begins with this organ, which is the tongue. When you allow your tongue to vibrate the Hare Krishna mantra, and you make sure that all the other your mental, intellectual, all that is in line with the sense organ, and then you're vibrating the Hare Krishna mantra. So you are creating a platform whereby Krishna and Radha are coming and uniting, and that becomes a pleasure-giving activity for Radha Krishna, and by that you also relish the pleasure. So this activity of giving pleasure to Krishna is embedded in all the services that we do. One has to be conscious of it and do it with the mood of pleasing the Lord. Here I am preaching to myself. I have not conquered my lusty desires, but I am sincerely trying, taking the guidance of the senior devotees, and when I trip and fall down, I take their help of my spiritual master and other Vaishnavas. So, Hanuman has been a great inspiration for me personally from the childhood. How he was not deterred by the various allurements that he has to face, and despite the fact that so many distractions were there, he was just focused on the mission of reuniting Sita with Lord Ram. So now we have defined the problem, and then we are trying to look at how do we turn the lust back into love, which we kind of touched upon. The Bhakti Yoga process embeds this. So, to be more specific, the Bhakti Yoga process is trying to turn your desires, which are more selfish, self-centered, and for purificatory purposes, it is turning your desires. And more specifically, if you want to control your desires, you need to look out for what you're getting attached to, your attachments, what you're getting emotionally attached to, that has to change. So first we understood we can't kill desires, desires have to be purified. So for purifying desires, we need to change what we're getting attached to. Now here comes the Bhakti Yoga process and gives us various avenues for us to focus our attachments to various activities. Again, coming back to what Sukadeva Prabhu announced. There's a Diwali celebration happening, there are so many services, there is a stall for book distribution, prasadam distribution. All these activities are there, and because desires have energy, and it's not some intellectual thing, and they have a lot of emotions attached to it, and it's not just a belief that you can push it away, it has got a lot of energy. And here the Bhakti Yoga process has got a lot of avenues for where the energy can be used. So the solution is that you tax your brain in various ways by which you can engage in Krishna's service. So that's quoted in the 18.66 purport. So this brain taxation, if you engage in Krishna's service, how to spread Krishna consciousness, how to convince people about Krishna, how to take them to Krishna's desire, sarva dharman parityajya. So that brain taxing is required, and that is the solution. So you have energy in one side, and then you have a lot of services in one side, and that's why when I was preparing for this one devotee came for taking a printout and he was saying, Prabhu, I have too many services, Prabhu, I'm so tired. And he's quite young. I said, okay, that's the theme of today's talk. It is about engaging your youthful energy in various services so that you don't have time to space out or get sidetracked. The solution we have understood, but still we are in a conditioned state. So how do we apply this solution in our conditioned state? Because the merciful aspect of the Lord is brought out, as we saw in the third canto, when the creation is described. Even the sense organs, everything is coming from the Lord. Every sense organ, including the genitals, it comes from the Lord. And the pleasure-giving potency that's there in the genitals, that's also given by the Lord. So He is allowing us to enjoy. Even though that's His energy, He is allowing us to enjoy. That's His kindness. If you own something and somebody is trying to steal it from you and enjoy, you wouldn't have good feelings towards that person. But Krishna is kind. He is allowing us to enjoy His energy. That's the mercy aspect of the Lord, but Krishna is also intelligent. He is going to add some kind of a responsibility for taking up for that enjoyment. Whenever you get some enjoyment, it also comes with some responsibility. And that taking up responsibility, that's where the solution is. And that solution comes in two options. One option, which is widely used, is to use that natural attraction between male and female in a way that is suitable for Krishna's service, whereby Krishna has created this Varnashram where you get married and that sexual energy which is there, it is getting properly used. Krishna describes in the Gita that dharma viruta bhuteshu kamosmi bharat darshapa. Sex life which is not contradictory to religious principles, that's me. So Prabhupada has designed a grihastha life in such a way that you go through purification before you conceive the child, and then after that you conceive the child, then comes the responsibility towards your spouse and the children. So that enjoyment, Krishna is also making it as a purificatory process. More specifically, He's making it as a sacrifice or a yajna. So you have to sacrifice your time, energy for your spouse and children. So enjoyment is there. At the same time, Krishna, being intelligent, He puts a process of purification, whereby you are not in the mood of just taking. That is more of the lusty mentality, whereas in family life you need to be also giving your time and energy to your wife and children. So that's the solution, whereby the energy is used in Krishna's service to produce Krishna conscious children, and in that process one can actually experience Krishna. So that is why it is crucial to take the guidance of a spiritual master in whichever ashram you are situated in, so that they will guide you in the right way, how to channelize your energy, how to spiritualize it. So other duties of grihasthas are that they have to earn money to keep themselves, maintain their family, and also give in charity. That's also a kind of a sacrifice. So the idea of offering items in a fire, that is also sacrifice. but then you are producing Krishna conscious children and offering them to the Lord. And thereby you are using the conditioned state that you have and purifying yourself. And this is considered as the, this option is considered as the safe option. And within ISKCON we have Grihastha Vision team and other support networks so that you get the proper guidance. There is a Grihastha manual as well, which you can refer and take guidance from. So by offering Krishna conscious children to the world, to the Lord's service and to Srila Prabhupada's service, and by offering your hard-earned wealth in Krishna's service, Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, Prabhupada explains that a devotee who goes outside and works and gives his hard-earned money in Krishna's service is as good as a sannyasi. So those support networks are also there. And Prabhupada also adds caution that even in the royal road there will be some accidents. So one still has to be careful. The objective is to get out of the desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. Then the second option is that of those who want to remain celibate. Now those who want to remain celibate, can they kill their sexual desires? We initially discussed that desires cannot be killed. And then those who are in the renounced order, like the Brahmacharis, the Vanaprasthas and the Sannyasis, have they completely eliminated the lusty desires in them? May be or may not be. So in that conditioned state, how do they use that sexual energy, that desire, that energy to create? It's a pushing and it's coming from the soul. So how do they make use of that? Again, the verses from the Nectar of Instruction, the very first was Vacho Vegam, Manasa, Krodha Vegam, Jihva Vegam, Udaropastha Vegam, Itan Vegan, Yo Vishaheta, Dhira. So, even though the urge is there, one is able to tolerate. In that purport, Prabhupada explains about how crucial it is to control the tongue. And that purport, Prabhupada explains that the tongue, belly, genitals are in the same line. And it has got a significance that one, if he is able to control his eating habits and control the urge of the stomach, then he can control the urge of the genital also. Then by such control, the devotees in the renounced order, they have the energy, the enthusiasm to tax their brains. Again, it's the same solution. They have that energy, that time, that enthusiasm, that creative energy. That energy is used in the body to tax their brains, because that energy flows all the way up to the brain. That's how it is meant to work. If you don't, if you retain your vital energy, it goes up and nourishes the brain. So through that, again, how to spread Krishna consciousness, brain taxation, by creating various methods of spreading Krishna consciousness. You would have seen messages from Gopavindesh Prabhu for marathon meetings and all that. So that is a way of taxing the brain, using the creative energy, that pushing, that emotion, that energy, all that. It is getting channelized through a proper service, and that pleases Srila Prabhupada the most. Then you will see people in the renounced order also traveling extensively and preaching and giving seminars and writing books. So that's how the creative energy is getting channelized. So the principle is, I have an energy and I would like to create something. Okay, so then if you're a grihastha, okay, produce children. Then after that, remain celibate. Then Brahmachari or Vanaprastha or Sannyas, same energy is there. I use that in Krishna's service by creating many projects, or which is already there, help those projects, so that energy is getting used in a positive way. So we are not killing the desires, we are just dovetailing the desires and looking at where my attachment is going, where my desires will follow where your attachment is. So that's how we properly utilize the sexual energy. So that substance which actually creates the problem, when therapeutically applied, can fix the problem. So Prabhupada gives the example of diarrhea, which is caused by milk, can be fixed by yogurt preparation. So that's how you experience the Adi Rasa, by uniting Krishna's energy in his service, and thereby you experience satisfaction. Before this section, we read about Lord Shiva and his prayers. In one of the prayers, the way Lord Shiva describes is, if you're looking at the form of the Lord, if you're looking at the beauty of Krishna, the various angas or the limbs of the Lord, by that one gets satisfied. In the morning we sing the Govindam Adi Puruṣam. One line comes which says, Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. What does that mean? Kandarpa Koti. For the benefit of those who may not understand the meaning, so let's help them out. What does that mean? Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. Kandarpa is Cupid, and Cupid is the material version of Krishna. Interestingly, he is Pradyumna, son of Krishna. He is a material Cupid, and then we have a spiritual Cupid who is Krishna himself. So, Krishna is capable of counteracting Kandarpa Koti. Koti is crores, is it? So crores of cupids can be counteracted by looking at the beauty of the Lord, especially the eyebrows of the Lord. So when you're taking darshan, do that in a prayerful, aware, in a very conscious way, that you take in the form of the Lord and into your heart. I'll conclude with this quote or section from Krishna book, again chapter 48. This is the pastime where Kubja, the hunchback woman, she was trying to please Krishna by giving some sandalwood paste. So Krishna accepted it, and he gave a promise that I will fulfill your desire. So Krishna, being the ultimate physiotherapist and chiropractor, he converted a hunchback woman to a most beautiful woman and fulfilled Kubja's desire. Kubja wanted to offer service to the Lord because she is a society girl and she wanted to please the Lord. In that way, Krishna did go to her place, but Prabhupada explains, not with some motive to enjoy her. So, I'll read that section. Krishna is served by many thousands of goddesses of fortune. Therefore, he has no need to satisfy his senses by going to a society girl. But because he is kind to everyone, he decided to go there. It is said that the moon does not withhold its shining from the courtyard of a crooked man. Similarly, Krishna's transcendental mercy is never denied to anyone who has rendered service unto him, whether through lust, anger, fear, or pure love. So listen carefully. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that if one wants to serve Krishna and at the same time wants to satisfy his own lusty desires, if one wants to serve Krishna and at the same time wants to satisfy his own lusty desires, Krishna will handle the situation so that the devotee forgets his lusty desires and becomes fully purified and constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. So Krishna will handle the situation so that the devotee forgets his lusty desires. So Kubja offered sandalwood paste to the Lord, thereby pleased him. And in reciprocation, Krishna took away her lusty desires. So now I can see there will be a big line of devotees wanting to do the sandalwood paste offering to the Lord. Any way of pleasing the Lord, so Krishna handles it in such a way, and there is a process, and then we have acharyas who are the subject matter experts, coming back to this knowledge economy whereby you have those subject matter experts, and then again they come down and try to reach us by writing books, by producing audio tapes, by singing kirtans, by having videos. As a Vani Media, a YouTube channel, has great amount of video on Prabhupada. One such video I was looking at was several of them. So I would encourage devotees to take advantage of the various means by which the spiritual expertise is reaching us, and most importantly, to make it a practice to consciously engage in that and see the change in your own life, and that will give you more inspiration to engage further. And then help others also, connecting others back to Krishna. Adi Rasa, experience that by getting more people closer to Krishna in whatever way, shape you can. I will conclude here. We've gone way over time. Any questions on what we discussed today?
I was wondering, since we are the soul, which is pure, and we have such a potent tool, which is our Krishna mantra, how come after so many years of practice, we will still be contaminated by the inferior energy of the Lord?
Yeah, so we are pure. The Hare Krishna mantra is powerful. How come we still have lusty desires? Yeah. Very good question, Williams. It's described that as you start the process, it's like a pond which is very disturbed, and a lot of them throwing stones at it, and then the pond is disturbed. And people stop throwing stones and then leave it undisturbed. So from the top, it will seem as if it is really clean. Prabhupada explains that within the inside, there might be something that will come up and will pop up, and the bubble will come the top. Even when nobody is throwing stones at it, you might see a silent lake, still the bubble will pop up. Where from that's coming is from the inside. So the purification has got different stages. So initial stages of bhakti, you may think that, oh, I'm pure, and then then that's the next step where you purify further. Then there is a gross level of impurities, and there is subtle. So it is a gradual process, and we don't have to be disheartened if we are not pure straight away. It is a gradual process, And that's why the solution that's discussed today is applicable. How do we purify us in the conditioned state? By engaging in this service and helping others also experience that and continue the process also. So the process is potent, but to the extent we apply, we become purified. And it's like a golden ring which is put in the mud. Now we are removing the dust, so slowly you'll start to see the gold coming out, but then you need to put a lot of effort in that. You can't just stop that. But gold, because it's put in the mud, doesn't make, the gold does not lose its value. It's got covered. Soul is like that. So if you understand the meaning of the Guru Puja that we sing, I highly recommend that you understand the meaning of it. It's good that we talked about Guru Puja. The song is written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So please read those meaning of it, where it says that when offering flower to Krishna and Prabhupada, do that with lots of love, so that prema bhakti, wherever that's there, the ignorance is destroyed. So we will read the translation of Guru Puja prayers. At that time this verse will come. By love, ignorance is destroyed. Yeah, so that's the whole idea, that bhakti gives you various avenues by which you can express your love. Whatever state, how much ever impurities you have, doesn't matter. That's not a prohibition. So you can start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can in the process of bhakti. Yeah. Alright, any other questions? We'll conclude here. Grantharaj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada